Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically Giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as polizieschi, spaghetti westerns, Euro crime films. Either way, you'll hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 456, Double 76. I'm your host, Greg Mortis, along with Ian La Punelli Irza. What's up, Ian?
When I'm done with you, you won't want another woman for the rest of your life. Crap like you ought to be locked in a home and castrated.
I was wondering what you were going to come up with, dude. There's so many quotes in both movies tonight that I could think that you would have come up with. That's a good one. That's a good one. We're super excited tonight. Welcome. This is LOTC Presents Black Glove Mystery. Movies tonight, Ian. We're looking at 1976, The Tough Ones, a.k.a. 1976. Oh, God, there's a bunch. We'll get into that. As well as 1973's High Crime. So that is our films tonight. Super excited. We both have the Grindhouse release of The Tough Ones as well as the Blue Underground High Crime. Hopefully you were able to pick up High Crime back a couple weeks ago when they were doing their pre-Black Friday or the Black Friday sale because they had it cheap, Ian. They had it cheap. That was the way to roll with it. But if not, go pick it up. Black Friday was in full swing, Ian, as we're recording. This is Monday after Black Friday. So this is the official ending of the sales of Vinegar Syndrome, Severn Films, Arrow Video, MVD sale, like all the boutiques, Ian, even Amazon, all those places, right?
Yeah.
And I did go out. I did buy, quite a few titles. So once they hit, we'll do a Blu-ray 4K DVD update here on this channel. So stay tuned for that. But Ian, I'm excited, man. I wasn't as blown away, I'll be honest, with either one of the Severin or Vinegar. As a whole, I looked at it, I'm like, because like with Vinegar Syndrome, I was hoping for this great, amazing releases. They were promising 2 VS releases in, and we got Troll 2. Okay, whatever, 4K, but does Troll 2 need to be 4K?
No.
I mean, seriously. And
No.
then what was the other, like Tough Time or Tough Crime, something. Anyways, I was having to dig really deep to buy some movies with Vinegar Syndrome. Severin, though, on Saturday, the day after Black Friday, and they had their box sets go on sale.
Yeah, and I finally picked up the first All the Hunts Be Ours.
So jealous,
yeah.
dude. Oh, I had to pick and choose, right? So I wanted the Haunts, but I knew they were super expensive. So I ended up getting, because I already have the Danza Macabre Volume 1, so I went ahead and picked up Volume 2 and Volume 3. So I
don't have any of them, so you cut me beat.
See, there you go. So I got the 3 come.
And I had debated on those. I was like, I thought about getting either those or All the Haunts Be Ours. I wasn't going to get them both.
Yeah.
I on for their Black Friday sale, I got The Ghost, which is a Barbara Steele movie. And then I got a couple other Barbara Steele movies as well. So I can't remember what they are at the moment, but they were Barbara Steele movies. So I was like, I'm picking
Castle.
them. Yeah, Nightmare Castle. I already have Castle Blood, so I think it was the third one was another different one.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I've got Nightmare Castle over here somewhere too, but or Castle Blood. But it's funny because when you
Angel for Satan, that was
there you go. Yeah. I was laughing inside because when you sent me that text and showed me what you got, I was like, oh, he's going for the Barbara Steele thing right now.
Yeah, well, I was just like, I mean, and some of them, I think at least one of them is an Antonio Margheriti movie, so that adds to the Antonio Margheriti collection as well.
Yeah, you should be getting up there on his, man. You got
I have several of his movies. I mean, I have at least a couple of the Macaroni combat movies he did. I have seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye. I do want to get the Eurocrime movie that he did at one point. I think it's like Death, maybe not Death Sentence, but something like that. I have quite a few of his movies now. I'm a big fan of Margheriti's films.
Yeah, I knew you was, and he's got a vast
Alien from the Abyss. I have that one too
wow.
that he made right at the end of his career.
He's got a pretty vast amount of
yeah
titles under, so it's hard to get them all. I'm kind of that way when I get into some of these directors like Enzio Castellari and different ones. Like some of the movies I'm interested in, some I'm not. So it's like I am a completist, somewhat like you are, Ian, and I'm like I got to have all of Sergio Martino. But then some of the films I'm just like, do I have to have them? Like I'm not going to probably ever watch them, or if I do, it'll be a one time. So I'm trying
I
to
have
stick a
I
little.
have pretty much everything that's been put out by Martino actually at this point. I'm hoping that even more of his late 80s films specifically get a big release. Movies like The Opponent and Casablanca Express and Beyond Kilimanjaro and all those other movies that haven't got their due yet. I'm hoping some of those do eventually. With Fulci, I mean, a lot of stuff has been released from Fulci, truth be told, that's worth releasing, but there are a few. Beatrice Cenci could get a better release, and it probably will eventually. I think the 88 films Blu-ray for that is still out there, the old one. I think it's one of the few 88 films ones that's still around.
As you
But
say that, not to interrupt you, but since you said that, that movie, if it's still on sale as I'm speaking, they have it on the 88 Films UK. You got
oh
to go
yeah,
through the UK site for
yeah. So you'd have to.
$6. It's $6.
Oh wow, okay, that actually isn't bad. I might think about picking that up.
Yeah, it's literally sold out. You can't buy it in the US that I have found.
No, but if you have UK, like with me, my debit card won't allow me to do foreign purchases. So what I have to do is I have to go through PayPal or whatever and pay the
Yeah.
conversion rate, which means it's not going to be $6 because they're going to charge you, a ton of shipping for it coming from overseas. But
Yeah, I
still,
don't know how long this sale's going to last, but I'm pulling it up right now. Let me convert this thing because I don't. How do you convert this? Copy. Let me paste it over here because the reason I'm saying this is because since you said, I was like, dude, I got to tell you about this because I know you like or was looking at getting it. So I take it back. So it's 6.99 pounds. So to US dollars, it's $9.23. Still a good price for Blu-ray,
yeah,
88 films, $9.23 US
and
dollars.
then $10 for the shipping or something like
Uh,
that.
it could be. Let me see what the shipping would be on that sucker. You're right, man. It could be. But they have the okay.
Anywhere from $10 to $13, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer this sale's going. They got to buy one or buy some, and they have inner boobs. BOOBS is their code, and you get 25% off. So you may even be able to get 25% off of
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
So check on it anyways, see if it's still live. If not,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I might think about that. That would add both to the Fulci collection and the Tomas Milian collection because I own over 20 of Tomas's films. So,
your favorite actor.
yes, and with Fulci, I mean, the only thing really out there, I mean, the White Fang films could get a release, I guess. Those would be interesting to get a release, but also some of those sex comedies might be interesting to get a release, even though I've heard, differing accounts on which ones are good or bad. But yeah.
Maybe Vinegar or Lee Sam. They got a little bit more of the erotic side of things, a little bit more. Although Severin does. I mean, they got the.
Well, none of those companies have really ever taken a chance on those films. Besides No Shame Films back in the day, there really hasn't been many releases of those films. And for me, it'd be interesting to see some of those actors and directors that we like in those kind of films. Someone will take a chance on them eventually, I'm sure. But
Yeah, if
yeah,
there's a rights issue, I'm sure they'll get that worked out. But yeah, totally. So let's see. Let me make sure. Okay. So once again, just wanted to get that out there because Black Friday is important for us collectors. But once again, we're doing the tough ones and we are doing high crime. These were both first time viewings for me, so it was exciting to get into these. But I want to mention why we're doing this particular episode because right here on the YouTube channel, I got to give a shout out to Dude McMahon. So it's DUDEMCMANN 6936 on YouTube. Had messaged us or commented on a video about a month or two ago, Ian, and had recommended us to review these two movies specifically together. He said they went as a pair, kind of good comparison. So, hey, we made it happen, Ian. We're here tonight. We're going to talk these movies. And I just want to give Dude McMahon a shout out, man, for giving us the idea of this because this was fun. This was a lot of fun.
yeah, I agree.
So what we'll do, as we typically like to do, Ian, we'll go ahead and get right into this. We're going to go into the chronological order. So we're going to start with high crime first. Look at that.
Italian crime filmography from Roberto Curti.
Nice. And you got that from.
I don't know where it's been. I've had this for a while, so I don't know. Probably Amazon or something at one point in time. But
I love it, dude. That is so awesome. So, as we like to do, I'm going to head it over to Ian, and he'll give us a plot synopsis for this movie right here, High Crime, from Enzio G. Castellari. So take it away, Ian.
all right, I'm not going to read this whole thing because there's some spoilers in here. But Commissioner Belli investigates a huge drug ring between Genoa and Marseille, which involves two rival gangs. He arrests a man, the Lebanese, who may give him precious information, but the thug is killed while he's being transferred between police stations. Suspecting that a powerful industrialist above suspicion named Griva is involved in the drug trafficking, Belli convinces his older and more cautious colleague, Chief Commissioner Scabino, to handle him a compromising dossier the latter has been compiling.
Boom.
And that's all I'm going to go with for now, because there's some spoilers coming up in there, which Curdy's synopsises do that in this book. They just give you basically the whole movie. So.
I love it. I got to pick that book up. Instantly in this one now, once again, first time viewing, I believe it's duly noted that this is an Enzio G. Castellari movie, and I really have enjoyed digging into Castellari's filmography. I've enjoyed that a lot, actually. We have stars Franco Nero in this one. Fernando Rey. We got old Fernando Rey in here, as well as James Whitmore, and a few others that we'll get into for sure. But I think Franco Nero and especially Fernando Rey, man, it was fun seeing both of them together. But we had that opening, Ian. This one was one of those movies where we saw an opening chase sequence, like a car chase, which I thought was
it's an amazing chase scene. Like, you get the foot chase at first where Franco goes unfortunately down the wrong alley, and then he sees the guy from way afar, which there's some really good overhead shots and zoom ins near that what you may call it, that dock station or whatever. And like the look on his face when he sees him walking, just how surprised he is. He's like, oh, there he is. And I kind of like that in the chase scene, he's not the one driving. I find that interesting, actually. Remy Julien,
I love the dummies.
Yeah, the great Remy Julien was the one who coordinated the car chase, worked on James Bond films and among other things. But I just found it. I kind of found it interesting that he wasn't the one driving. It's like, I'll just let the other cops do the driving for me.
Yeah. I was watching that, and what I was noticing, besides the dummies in the car, which I thought was fun, it's like us watching movies with miniature sets. I love miniature sets. I love seeing the dummies and catching it. But what I was noticing, Ian, was the driving of these guys were insane. Like, there are moments where they're going around these sharp curves where there's cliffs off to the side, and dude, they're doing like pit maneuvers and stuff. How somebody didn't die making these scenes, man, I have no clue. Like, it would have just took one false move and somebody could have went over the edge, the road and died. I mean, it was insane, man. But it was a really, really good chase sequence, man, that I thought was, what a way to start it off, right? And then we go in and we find out that Franco Nero's character, who is he's basically a inspector, a detective in this movie. And I like Franco Nero in pretty much everything I've ever seen him in, and I'm such a fan of his. But in this one, he plays the commissioner, Vice Commissioner Belli. And he's one of those that goes by the book but doesn't go by the book, right? He knows there's the law, but at the same time, he's still after the villains, right? So in this one, I think that you got that fast-paced, because it is a fast-paced movie. It does have a lot of action sequences, even though I know you're going to say something here in a little bit without spoiling, and we'll get into that. But then you got that American influence, because I watched one of the bonus features in this, which was an interview with Franco Nero and also the director, Castellari. And Franco Nero had mentioned, and Castellari as well, that they took this as an inspiration from the French Connection. They wanted, Castellari being a huge fan of Hollywood cinema and American cinema in general, and they made this movie as kind of I want to make an Americanized type film, and we're going to take this after French Connection. Even Franco Nero jokingly said, we could have named this the Italian Connection. But
it's funny, there was a movie named that.
Exactly.
Actually.
I was like, kind of can't do that, Franco. But
it starts off with the drug stuff in Marseille, just like the French Connection does, and then transitions to the other city into a chase scene, which is exactly what the opening of French Connection is.
A lot of running. You have a lot of running, which they do in the French Connection.
Yeah.
Which was funny, too. I want to tell you this. I don't know if you listened to the interview, but they interviewed Franco, and Franco was talking about, Castellari was talking about Franco Nero and how that he wanted to do all his action scenes. He wanted to do all his stunts. Like, Franco was all into this, right? and he mentioned how that Franco was a fast runner, a super fast runner in real life. So there's the sequence where he's running in one of the scenes, and he said every time he was, there needed to be a run scene, he wanted him to do those scenes because he was super fast. So you see a lot of those scenes where, especially running through the streets, that he's running, they're filming it, and
Yeah,
he loved
he
it.
gives Tom Cruise a run for his money as far as the best like runner in movies goes, because
Yeah,
everyone always talks about Tom Cruise, which is true. Then you have Steven Seagal and Roger Moore are the two worst runners I've ever seen in films. So
Roger Moore, yeah.
Roger Moore, if you watch him in those Bond movies when he's running, he just looks clumsy as hell.
He
Steven
does.
Seagal looks even worse. In his
Roger Moore
movies.
looks flat-footed, almost like
Yeah.
Frankenstein running the monster.
Compare that to actually, yeah, like compare that to Daniel Craig. He looks great when he runs, truth be told. But
True.
yeah,
But man, I love the chase sequences. I love the running in this one. I love the moments in this movie. One in particular where Commissioner Belly, Franco Nero, shows up at Cafiro or Fernando Rey's home, right? And he walks
yeah.
in. Fernando's washing, or he's spraying his roses. He got this big rose garden, and he's doing all these things about flowers. And unbeknownst to us at the time when you're watching it, you don't know that he's the big drug pen, leader, right? So you think whatever, but you find out pretty quick that his hands are definitely into some crime.
I think they imply that he's trying to reform himself, though. He's not. He's not like quite as mean or on edge as he may have once been. It seems like.
So I like that. I like the setup of it. I like how uh, we basically had the Lebanese and his group, right? They've had basically the drug ring of everything, and now these Lebanese people come in and they're trying to take over and doing it, and
They're
even
working with some chemical company or whatever the
yes,
hell the Grievous company
yeah,
is. Yep.
in a violent nature too. Like they do not shy away from killing somebody in a heartbeat in this movie. James Whitmore plays Commissioner Aldo Scavino. I liked James Whitmore in this one as well.
Yes, Brooks from the Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed his character in here. So a lot of cast members, a lot of fun in this one. I thought the moments when Franco would go off kilt and he would try to do what he had to do to, solve crimes was great. I love the ending of this movie, not to flash forward too far ahead, but I do want to talk about that emotional moments at the end of this movie I thought was outstanding. I mean, you want to talk about a filmmaker going somewhere and rolling with it. They definitely went with it. And it was touching, like seeing the emotions of Nero, and it was sad. They actually said that during that scene, I don't want to give it away, but during the scene at the end of this movie, the emotion that Nero was given, they filmed for extra several minutes because they were so into the emotion of this, they couldn't quit filming. They were just filming. And, Castellari was like, wow, right? That was that moment. Like they knew, like, wow, like
It's one aspect of Nero's acting that he can do really well. He can sell that stuff really well, whereas compare that to Maurizio Merli, where Merli can't really sell that emotional side quite as well, and that's not the style of actor he is anyway. To be fair,
yeah,
but Merli, Nero could sell that stuff a little bit better. I mean, he does it in Street Law as well, where he plays a much more vulnerable guy than normal, and a lot of other actors who were in these crime films, these tough guy films, could not do what he does in Street Law. So, he has a lot of versatility to him, and he's very believable. Obviously, in the action scenes, he's very believable as this cop going on a tirade about the law and everything like that. But it's also a really good film about what you can sacrifice along the way to try to become a more, not necessarily powerful cop, but a cop with more responsibility and wanting to catch criminals even more than anybody else, wanting to release this dossier on all these people involved in the mafia. And it's like, he pays the price for it in a way that's indirectly related to him.
yeah, yeah, 100%. You definitely have the organized crime. You got corruption in this movie for sure. You got that going on. And it's the whole police procedural thing I thought was handled well in this one. This one feels up against the tough ones. This one feels more realistic. Like this one,
I can agree with that.
yeah, I think tough ones comes off a little, and not in a bad way. I'm not. Don't take it that I'm saying
Well, the Tough Ones is like a cartoon in
it
a lot
is.
of
It
ways.
comes off cartoonish. Like there's so
Yeah,
many over the top moments, but in a good way. I mean, they're enjoyable to watch.
yeah.
But this one is like if you were to watch. This is like watching The French Connection. Like it is a straight
This
up
is,
crime
I
thriller.
mean, this to me is like watching the first. Well, it's like watching the French Connection, but if we're comparing it to the Tough Ones is like Sudden Impact, the fourth Dirty Harry movie, and this is more like the first Dirty Harry movie.
Yeah.
If we're making a comparison, because Sudden Impact, and I love Sudden Impact, but it's basically a parody of a Dirty Harry film, and that's almost what the Tough Ones is. The Tough Ones almost feels like a parody of a Eurocrime film in some ways compared to what this one does. I do have some issues with this film because I just don't think the villains are very interesting. I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of scenes of the villains talking, and I'm like, I don't care about these people. Like, I only really care about the cop and what's going on with him and the commissioner. And the scenes with the cop's family, I mean, it pays off, but I don't find, I kind of would maybe find it more interesting if he didn't have a family. But I think in a way, it shows you it is kind of the point of the film. It's what you sacrifice along the way, because if you compare it to the French Connection, again, Gene Hackman didn't have a family in that film at all.
No.
So he was just he was literally just addicted to his work, and that was his whole purpose. Whereas in this movie, they show Belly having a family, and even though those scenes kind of weigh the movie down a bit, it's still kind of interesting with how it goes along. Yeah, Enzo's daughter, Stefania, who we've seen in several films, plays the daughter in this film.
Yeah.
Delia Picardo, who I've seen in a couple other films, who is, she looks great in this film. Plays his girlfriend, and they have some sort of cute moments together where she says, we make love once a week. When are we going to get married? That sort of thing. We barely see each other, or whatever she says. Like, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's something like that. And then I want to point out, so I listened to the commentary with Mike Malloy, Bill Lustig, and Franco Nero, and that scene where the drug dealer gets blown up, there's a girl playing hopscotch. That girl is Natasha Richardson, who was Franco Nero's real life stepdaughter when he was married to Vanessa Redgrave. He wasn't married to her at the time. They were together sort of, I think, for a while. Then they weren't. Then they married in like 2005 or 2006, I think. But Franco on the commentary started crying when he saw her in that scene. Apparently, she died. I can't remember when, somewhere around 2010, I think. He took her death very hard. I think when Eric Zaldivar has told this story where Franco looked very good for his age up until after her death, where he aged like just a ton of years in a very short amount of time, grieving over her for one thing. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up too, because that was something I wanted to mention too. Was the fact that she was in this movie, as well as the daughter in the movie of Franco Nero's character being the daughter of Castellari, which I thought was unique.
He puts her in a lot of his films. Apparently, she could speak English very well. For one thing, she went to a school in America, I think. But she's in The Big Racket. She's also in Bronx Warriors. So she's been in a lot of his movies.
Yeah, I thought bringing that character into this movie gave him Franco Nero Belli gave him a more humanistic side of things, and we see not in the movie necessarily play out until the ending and there's like a flashback scene. But we do see that does play out where something happens to where he's like, you got to leave because I want to protect you. So I kind of dug that aspect that they did bring in a child to humanize him a little bit. So it's just a stylistic, gritty, action-packed thriller of a film that has that whole corruption, the whole police procedural, all those moments, but it's done in a very polished way. I thought Castellari, we already know Castellari's abilities, and having a Franco Nero, he crushes it. He said in the interview that he's done 30 different nationalities in acting. He's played 30 different nationalities, which is
I'm just thinking about it now that I can name a few of them, because he played a Colombian drug lord in Die Hard 2.
right.
If you remember that. I think I want to say he was want to say he was German in Forrest 10 from Navarone. I can't remember. He's one of the villains in Forrest 10 from Navarone.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I've seen him play plenty of different nationalities in films before. I'm sure he's playing a different one in Camelot, even though I haven't seen it.
he is. Now, it's funny in this one, his hair's kind of blonde. And it was mentioned that he had done a movie previous to this and he had bleached his hair or done his hair blonde. He decided to just keep it while he was filming this one. Works, whatever. We'll see that with the tough ones too, why that kind of plays out with the blonde hair deal. But what did you think? Now, I see where you're talking about with the villains in this one. Because there's so many villains going on in this movie, like different sects of villains, and you don't focus a lot on each one of them. It's just kind of you almost get confused sometimes. Like, who is this one? Is this one working with Fernando Reyes group, or is this one working with Lebanese? Who are they working? Sometimes it got a little convoluted. I was a little bit like confused, but still a lot of good squib shoots in this one. A lot of scenes of fighting and stuff. I thought the shootout toward the end of this movie was handled really well. Love that. And that moment, that ending, man, is just so heartfelt, man. It's so powerful that I really enjoyed it. But what else you got on this one, Ian, before we get into, like, guts of it?
I wish that there was a bit more of an action scene in the middle. Like, you get a lot of little ones, don't get me wrong. I just wish, like, for example, the big racket, you got that whole train yard shootout in the middle. I wish this one had something like that. But you do get a lot of little ones. You get, the scene where Rico, the sort of turncoat for Fernando Reyes group,
Right.
gets stabbed a bunch of times with these big hooks by these guys at the dockyard. You get the one of the Grieva brothers gets killed by some guys with machine guns, which is an awesome scene where the glass shatters and everything, and there's a bunch of squibs. You get Franco Nero going to this what you may call it, almost like a farmer's market type thing, where there's heroin in the oranges or whatever, and he beats a couple of guys up, slaps them around a little bit. Something Nero's really good at selling.
Yeah.
And then, and then you get the ending shootout, which is awesome. I think the ending shootout is great. There's a lot of Sam Peckinpah type slow motion in there. The scene where something happens to James Whitmore's character is great. That scene is incredible.
Yeah.
And then you get the whole scene where he shows up at the protest, which is really cool. And they let him through, and Bruno Corazzari tries to call him a fascist, so he chases him up to that big tanker.
Yeah.
And then I like how the film just cuts after he gives him this sinister look, and they cut to him probably being interrogated for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do like there's some scenes where voiceovers will play with music, and it's got this very sort of dreamy feel. He would do this again a lot in the Heroin Busters, that type of filmmaking and editing, where there's a lot of scenes where it's just Cafiero's words, warning him about not going too far. Something's going to happen to your family if you keep going the way you're going, that sort of thing. Yeah. So there's some good editing and filmmaking going on there that Castellari would expand upon in future films.
Yeah. And we're looking too at the cinematography. Alejandro Ula did the cinematography, and I thought it was shot well. Like, it's definitely a crisp movie. Now, I love the chase sequences in this. We see some in car, out car, although I think the tough ones did a little better. But I think that was a little bit more because of the handheld stuff they were doing. But this one was definitely shot really well. I think we need to talk about the music of this one, which was Ghetto and Maurizio, the brother.
Yeah, they do good. They do a great job anytime they work with Castellari, and anytime they do something for a Eurocrime film. That opening song especially is especially strong.
Yeah, I love it. And here's the thing: Franco Nero said that he went to them to get them to do the music, right? And Franco Nero said he gave them an album, or at least the music of Quincy Jones, and said, "I want you to make this." So they used Quincy Jones as he said as an example of music that he wanted for this film, Franco Nero. I was like, what? So if you listen to the music, they were listening to Quincy Jones, and that's how they got this music. That was insane. I love that part of the interview. I was sitting there, I thought, Quincy Jones, what? But it's bass driven. It's really cool. I like it, and I think it pushes it, man. It's really well. Let's see what else we got in here. Cast, man. We named some of the cast members in here, Ian, but We still got several in here that we haven't mentioned. I think Umberto Griva, played by Giulio Del Prete. Um, Ellie Galini, who was Chica. Uh, who else we got here? Bruno Carrazari was in this one. We got him as one of the assassins. I thought that.
Yeah, and then you got Massimo Vanni playing one of the assassins who's in every single one of Castellari's movies. They were cousins, and Vanni was always working as a stuntman in his films and usually appearing in small roles.
Mm, love it. Who do we have before we get into any kind of? I know we'll get into the voiceovers and stuff, but what do you have as far as the all stars and stuff?
I think this is only our third Franco Nero film. So as of this moment, he would be a superstar. We got him in The Fifth Chord and Street Law
Okay.
so far, and this movie. Let me see here. Stefano Girolami Goodwin, who is Enzo Di Castellari's daughter.
Mhm.
Bronx Warriors, Big Racket, Heroin Busters. So this is her fourth movie. So that would officially make her a Hall of Famer. And then
All right.
she's not even done yet. We got a few more with her that are probably also Castellari films. So Silvano Tranquilli, who played the other Griva brother, we've definitely seen him before. Black Belly of the Tarantula, Big Guns, Bloodstained Butterflies, So Sweet, So Dead. I believe that might be it. So he's another Hall of Famer. Daniel Martin, who plays Rico, the informant. We saw him in A Fistful of Dollars, so that makes him an all-star. Let me see. Bruno Corzari, I know we've seen him in some films. For a few dollars more, The Psychic, Strange Vice, and Mrs. Ward. And we're not even Seven Bloodstained Orchids, Body Puzzle. There we
Wow.
go. Body Puzzle and Puzzle. So there we go. Another Hall of Famer there. Let's see here. Enzo Di Castellari actually has a cameo as a reporter in the film. He's the reporter reporting on the chemical company during that one scene.
Hey,
Let me see here. I'm trying to see if we got anybody else here. Leonardo Scavino, uh, Street Law and the Big Racket in this movie. So that makes him a superstar. Um, Nello Pazzafini, who we see briefly playing an assassin in one scene. He's kind of a guy with a rough look. We saw him in, let's see here, Seven Bloodstained Orchids and Endgame, Rulers of the City. So a Mad Dog Killer as well. So we got another Hall of Famer there. So I think that might be it. We got a lot of people in here that we'd recognize, and we're gonna have even more in the next film, actually.
we
So
did you mention Fernando Rey? Did I?
yeah, I
Okay.
think this is the first movie we covered with them.
Okay. I know he'll
Yep.
be later on too. Cool. All right. So that is our All Star Hall of Famers. Love when you do that, Ian. What do you got for the voiceovers in this one?
So I had a few. Let me need to go to the cast. I need to go to just a regular cast list here. Um, Delalo De Prete playing Umberto Griva is dubbed by Edmund Purdom. Um, Rico Daniel Martin is dubbed by Frank von Kugelen, and I think that might be it for this film as far as voices I could identify. Although, hold on a second, let me see if there's any on IMDb that I can find because I think there were now that I think about it. So Anthony LaPena is dubbing Fernando Rey
Okay.
in the English dub, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I know Franco Nero said he heard his voice one time or watched a movie with him and they had dubbed his voice and he's like, why? Like
Might have been Confessions of a Police
he was
Captain.
like, why would you, I can speak whatever amount of languages. Like, why would you voice me? I can't, no, I want my voice. I love that.
I do have one more actually. I was just thinking about it. Nick Alexander dubs Bruno Corzari as the assassin.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. So, what else you got on this movie before we start breaking this down a little bit more into ratings and stuff?
I think that might be it. I think I did say pretty much everything I wanted to say on it.
Yeah. So we're looking at the filming locations of this was in. I had that pulled up and just pushed it down. So let me go back to it again. So we know that the locations were Recco, Genoa, Liguria, and Italy. I thought they showed a lot of the city. that opening sequence where they're driving, like, dude, it shows how congested it was. And I mean, there's like no rules, it looked like, to driving, Ian. Like, they were literally like, you know how we have lines and we keep it in, like these guys are driving like they have no rules. It was insane. I know there was mention of how that, if you notice the beginning, they were definitely depicting what Italy was kind of like at the time with crime and those things of the 70s. They were definitely showing that side of things. And if you notice at the beginning, there was a lot of buildings they were showing of like billboarded type buildings, like businesses, like insurance agencies and all this stuff. So I think that was purposely put in there as well to show you, Italy's a beautiful tourist attraction, but wait a minute, this is also, Italy has a lot of crime and a lot of drugs and a lot of, these moments in this period of time in the 70s, right? So they were definitely showing the seedier side of it, Rome and Italy and stuff. But I loved it. I love anytime they show that. There were some beautiful shots above head showing some car chases. So I thought that they done well. Crash sequence was good. Acting was good. Music was great. A fun watch, Ian, for sure. So let's go ahead and pass it around. What you got for a rating on this one?
I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay. So 8 for this one. And I actually, over on Letterbox, had given this one a 4.5. So I was sitting between an 8.5 and a 9. So I'm going to give it a 9 for me. And that's for high crime, and you're an 8 on it. Okay, cool. All right, so on to the next one, which is going to be the tough ones. Umberto Lenzi, man, our buddy Umberto Lenzi. And we have been racking up with some Umberto Lenzi movies recently, thanks to Severin and Cauldron and all these different companies coming out with some really good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into the tough ones. What you got for a synopsis on it?
Rome, Commissioner Tanzi of the Homicide Squad believes that the police must not be limited by law codes to fight crime, nor does he endorse the empathy his girlfriend, a psychologist at the juvenile court, shows towards young delinquents. After receiving a tip-off, he and his men break into an illegal gambling room run by a Marseille-born criminal, Farrinder, but without finding any evidence of illegal activity. At the police station, the frustrated Tanzi beats one of Farrinder's men, Savelli, to make him talk, but to no avail. Savelli is released, and the very next day, he and his accomplices kill a guard during a holdup. Tanzi locates Savelli's brother-in-law, a hunchback named Vincenzo Moretto, who works at a slaughterhouse. The commissioner arrests Moretto and savagely beats him in order to extort him the whereabouts of Savelli's hideout. Moretto cuts his wrist in order to be released, and once he's out, he informs the press about Tanzi's violent methods. The commissioner is transferred from his own unit to administrative duties. Meanwhile, Moretto plans to abduct and murder Tanzi's fiancée, Anna, but the cop saves the woman at the very last minute. It's not exactly what happens, but okay. Heedless of orders, Tanzi keeps fighting crime with his own unorthodox methods. He vanquishes a gang of upper-class youths, then he tackles and apprehends a drug dealer who might lead him to the elusive Farrinder, but the man is killed by a hitman. That's all I'm gonna say. The rest of it's gonna spoil the ending. So
I did thoroughly enjoy this one as well. This one, once again, as we've mentioned already, this one definitely shows the side of Maurizio Morelli playing this police commissioner whose hands are tied, right? He wants these criminals caught, seeing his city destroyed by heroin and different things, but the commissioner and all these other people are tying him down. You got to do it by the book. You got to do it by the law. And, you can't do this. You can't do that. Morelli eventually just says, fuck that. Like, he goes out he's like Batman. He's going out at night as a crusade, and he does what he has to do to get information, whether it's the most open slap faces I've seen in a lot of movies. It's not punches, it's open slap, smack. If you drunk a shot of liquor for every time he slaps somebody in this movie, you would go into a alcohol coma, like you would die. Like, it's an open slap for everybody, and it's hilarious.
He is a crime magnet in this film. Like, every time there's a crime happening, he's always there.
They even mentioned that his partner's like,
Yeah, he
he said,
says
"Why
it.
are you here?" Like,
There's
there's
like a meta moment where he says that. He's like, "You must have a special magnet that attracts trouble." And then he
yeah.
even says, at least in the English dub, he says, "Well, I can't believe the script was written this way."
There's a scene where a woman breaks down on the side of a road, and some guy pulls up and says, "Hey, honey, what's wrong?" And he starts looking at the car. Where he immediately tries to steal her coat, takes off. He's there. There's another scene where a car actually runs into him. That's committing a crime. I'm like, dude, what the hell, bro? Like,
The scene,
either there's a
and
lot
then
of crime going on, or you're just at the right spot.
and then the scene where he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna, scour the city to try and find Ivan Rasimov's character." And then he's just right there
Yeah.
in one scene. It's like, man, Rome is a really small place, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, dude, that was hilarious. But I do like you got the vice commissioner played by Arthur Kennedy. And
Five-time Oscar nominee Arthur Kennedy.
right, I was sitting there
Yeah.
like, dude, I know this guy from somewhere. And then when you start looking at his filmography, you start seeing what he's done. You're like, okay. You got the police inspector Francesco Capa, what is it? Caputo, I guess how you said
Yeah.
Caputo,
Caputo.
Caputo, and that's played by Jim Piero Albertini. Oh man, I suck at freaking Italian sometimes. Albertini, get it out, Greg. His character too. You got all these characters going on. You got Stefano Patrizzi playing Stefano in this one. We got our buddy Luciano Pagazzi in this movie. Holy crap!
Yep.
Every time I see Pagazzi, I get excited. You got Luciano Catanacci in this movie, man. I love Luciano Catanacci. Or Canacci. Claudio Nicastro, man, the cast in this one's insane.
It's insane. There's so many people in this that I've seen in other movies.
Oh my God.
Biagio Pellegria playing Savelli is yet another one. Like there's just a ton of people. Carlo Allegaro, who I think we see playing one of the lawyers at one point. Like there's a ton of people. But none better, of course, than Tomas Milian playing the Hunchback.
That at first, when I see they basically walk up on Thomas Milan's character, who is a hunchback. I thought he was faking it, right? I thought in the movie, okay, he's faking this, but no, he plays hunchback throughout the whole movie. There's that really cool scene. He's working as a butcher, right? He's in the butcher and he's cutting up some meat, and the guys come up. The Murley's character comes up, and what was his name? Leonardo
Tansy.
Tansy.
Yeah,
So Tansy comes up and he's getting ready to interrogate, Milan's character. And he's like, you come up to ask a surgeon while they're getting ready to do surgery, and you want them to stop, It's like, and I get what he's saying. Like, dude, why are you interrupting me while I'm doing surgery here, basically on this meat, give me a minute or whatever. So I thought that was really cool where they done it. But hey, I'm telling you what, Tansy don't give a crap. He's going to get what he wants. He don't give a crap about
early on in this film, I will say I believe that they are trying to, make you against Tansy a little bit to a certain degree. Like, I think they're trying to say, well, this guy is a cop who breaks so many rules that he's almost just as bad as the criminals are. You don't necessarily feel that way later on when he's killing people who rape women and force women to be sex slaves with drugs, and when Tomas Milian starts killing people with a machine gun, including elderly people. But like early on, they do a good job of basically saying, man, this guy is,
he's off
yeah,
his rocker,
yeah. He's out of control and, needs to comply by the rules a little bit more. I mean, early on, you had that scene where he runs into the purse snatchers. He's about to start slapping the kid around. And this kid, it's later found out that the kid was like 15 years old. Right. I love how the kid's like, man, what the hell's the matter with you? When he's getting ready to start hitting him.
How old are you? 15. The other one was 16.
But was Savelli and the Hunchback, he's really taking it to him. And with the Hunchback, he even like plants evidence in the car, like he plants some heroin or whatever in the car, to get him under arrest. And I love how the commissioner tells him later, he's like, anybody would know that you planted that in his car. Like they just know his methods so well,
right? But, like this cleanly packaged, straight from a police drug ring or whatever. Yeah, this is clearly coming from you, asshole. Dude, he was so off his rocker in this movie, man. So unhinged. But this is a dark movie, too. Now, this definitely gets dark with the rape sequences. I think one of my favorite scenes is when they have the claw hammer scene with the car crasher.
Yeah.
I loved that freaking scene where they basically have they've took this woman and done her, they've done her wrong, right? Well, they put her in this car at a junkyard, and they got the big claw comes down, picks the car up, and they're putting it right into a grinder. So all these cars are grinded. They're getting ready to grind this chick, man. And you're like, holy crap, dude. And they end up letting her go, which ends up, playing out. But man, it's definitely a dark, gritty movie, man, for sure. It's a lot more violent than High Crimes.
Yeah, and then you get the great scene where like he's already been cursing out his girlfriend a bunch before that, like before the dinner scene, like where he's talking about how she has too much humanity, she let these two kids go.
Yeah.
And then at the dinner he's like, I thought you were intelligent. He's really getting on her, and it's funny, but it's like one of those things where he just cannot stand letting criminals go, and he hates the system, he hates lawyers, he hates the fact that the police can't use more violent methods to apprehend criminals and get them to talk. He's very much like a caricature of a fascist cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Ivan Razumov, we see that scene where he comes in and the girl, his girlfriend or the girl he's basically kidnapped, he's keeping her drugged up with heroin, and we see those shoot up sequences where he's injecting her. You'll feel better soon, injecting her with heroin. Man, I thought, wow, like they definitely show the drug side of what was going on in Rome and Italy at this time and how prevalent, and they're definitely shining a light on how it was in and you read in the history of Rome and Italy, this was real life stuff going on. So they're depicting it really gritty in this movie and definitely dark. Definitely, it focuses on the urban violence, so you get a little bit of that urban violence in this one for sure. The one guy that, and it's not funny, but the one guy that had raped, and several of them had raped the one girl, and he ends up calling him in, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just call Dad. I'll be out in a minute, right?"
Well, that's before he had already committed a
crime.
crime. He had committed like a hit and run, I think they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stefano Patrizzi kind of looks like Topher Grace a little bit, but that's who he kind of reminds me of.
Right.
But okay, as horrible as that rape scene is, the part where the guy just picks up the big thing of wood and says, "Look, a big wooden dildo." I laugh every time that happens. I can't help it.
Yeah. A lot of good scenes in this one, man. I think the squibs in this one, because we do have a lot of shooting in this movie, and there's a chase sequence. Let me get to this sequence first. The ambulance chase sequence. Holy crap, brother. The amount of driving that these guys were doing, and I read where there was actually no permits. So they were doing this on the fly, a little illegally. Let's just say what it is. It was illegal what they were doing. And I don't know how they didn't kill somebody driving through these streets.
Part of that chase scene is actually stock footage from the Violent Professionals. That scene where he goes through the pile of burning wood, that's actually stock footage from the Violent Professionals, I think.
Yeah. It seems like I've seen that sequence before.
Yeah.
And you can take like the police cars in Tough Ones is the same police cars you'll see in High Crime.
Oh yeah.
And
that same like
the green,
that same shade of green, with the Polizia on the side of it.
You could totally take a sequence from Tough Ones and put it in High Crimes or vice versa, and you would never know the difference because they look exactly the same. But I thought there was some really good one, but especially that ambulance chase sequence. The driver of that ambulance should have got a raise and had been given the Medal of Honor of ambulance drivers, because that dude was insane. Love it. But the shootout sequences in this, the squibs, the amount of shots into chest and backs and head and everything was insane. I loved it. Every moment of it. I'm just all about it. I love violence in movies, and this one definitely showed on it.
We need to get to my favorite scene. Is the scene after the rape scene where he confronts the teenage ruffians at that pool hall. He just beats all of them up. It's so funny
with the open slap face.
Yeah, it's like it's very cartoony, but it's awesome. He's like beating up 5 people at once just by open hand slapping them. And I think it's one of the Dell'Acqua brothers that he takes him and just starts hitting his face right against the pool table over and over again.
Puts the one head through the pinball machine.
Yeah,
dude, I'm sitting here watching this and I'm thinking, I've never been open faced hit like that. Would it hurt more open faced than with a fist? I don't know,
No,
but I'm just
I
going to
get
say he
a punch in
definitely.
the face hurts.
I would imagine that it hurts a lot more than an open slap face, but he's knocking people out with his fan. He must have he must have the Big Show. He's got the Big Show hand. It's probably, pow, you know. I was like insane, but dude, I had fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie, even through the dark elements of it. Um, and as I'm talking about it, like I told you off air, I actually prefer High Crimes over this one. But as I'm talking about it, I'm starting to get really excited about the sequences. So I'm thinking, why? I almost do like this one just as much, if not better, just because of the sequences. Like there is a lot of those fast-paced action sequences. The story is good enough. You have cop go rogue just to seek vengeance, right? He
Yeah,
is the best cop on the force. He just does it in a way that's not politically correct. And
right.
so that side of things, you gotta do most of the stuff that he's doing, Ian, would get thrown out in a court of law here because you're doing it
Especially now.
yeah, they would be like, yeah, dude, sorry, he's getting away with this because you can't go into somebody's house without a warrant. Well, screw that. Murley will.
the I like the part when Luciano Catenacci is introduced to. He goes to the licenses because that's what Tanzi's doing. He's working like licenses and
He's been
whatever.
demoted.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't give a damn. You don't get a license. And then Catenacci's like, why don't you take a couple of tranquilizers, a couple of thousand? I love that scene. And then, yeah, then the woman comes in saying, "Oh, yeah, my husband served with you on the force or whatever. My daughter's been kidnapped by this guy named Tony," and he tracks Tony down by going to this restaurant that he apparently frequents and threatens the guy at the front desk, and that guy ends up calling Tony. And um, I will say there's a scene where they have a confrontation on a rooftop and Tony gets the better of him somehow just by surprising him. And Murley legitimately looks like he's hanging off a gutter
Yeah,
of a building, like with no harness on, no nothing. I'm sure, I don't know how much it could have been a thing where maybe they filmed the bottom of it in a different area and he was just hanging off of something that wasn't that high. But even still, it looks like he's just legitimately hanging off the side of a building. Like it's pretty
100%. And
cool.
if to put it in perspective, the roofs are made out of the tile type ceramic tile that moves. So like it's sliding, and he's grabbing, and the whole time he's grabbing, they're falling. So, dude, I was on edge. I was like, dude, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
He's legit gonna fall. I know he is. But music in this one by Franco McCauley. Great music. I thought the opening song had that doom doom. Did it not have a hinge? If you really go back and listen to it, it sounded like John Carpenter's Halloween theme song.
Oh yeah, I can hear that a little bit.
Doom,
Yeah.
doom. I mean, I was sitting there listening. I was like,
Just the pulse of it. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, this is Halloween. Did John Carpenter see this movie? Probably not, but I'm just saying just
You know,
watch the movie and listen to that opening track and
I
tell.
can't remember the name of the track exactly, but there's I believe some of this was used in Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof, some of this music.
Well, I
Yeah.
know, yeah, Quentin was definitely a fan. So let's see here. Umberto Lindsay again once. Oh, wow. Cinematography by Federico Zani. Great job on the cinematography of this movie. I love the sequences where they're in the cars with the chases. They're showing, what's going on through the windshields and things. You see the guys changing gears and just all these motions, man. There's just so much camera action going on that I thought it was fast paced, and I really enjoyed that. Maurizio Murley, man, I think he died young. He died at 49, and they said he was a health nut. But what a shame that he died at such a young age, dude.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think every once in a while it even happens to athletic guys. I mean, think about basketball players who have died of heart problems normally because of the size of the size of them. But
yeah.
um, yeah, I think he died while playing tennis. I think
Yeah, they said it. And what was the call? They called it something. It was
it was just a heart attack. I think they called it something more specific, but might have been like myocardial infraction or something
yeah, I
like
think
that.
that's
But
what it is.
yeah,
Yeah. What a shame. Like he was definitely He was definitely a good lead man, and he definitely had that Frank Nero ability. Like he had the look of Frank Nero. He was a good looking man. He was very athletic, so you had those aspects of it. A great actor. Like he was legit. Like he's definitely got the personality that I could have seen him be a mega superstar in these type films for sure.
Well, and he was basically the face of this genre.
Mhm.
What happens in 1975 is he makes, I think, Violent Rome, which is a film that was supposed to be a sequel to High Crime, and they couldn't afford Nero or Castellari at the time, so Castellari had his father make it, and then they just said, well, let's bring in this Franco Nero lookalike named Maurizio Merli to do the part. Um, he kind of looks like Franco Nero
He does.
if Franco Nero were mixed with Ron Burgundy from Anchorman. That's kind of what he looks like to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, Nero is a more versatile actor,
Mhm.
but I do buy Merle more as a meaner guy than Franco Nero, honestly.
I can see that. I think Nero, you mentioned this in the other movie review that he's able to hit the emotional side of things. Like he is a sensitive person and he can pull that sensitivity. I never got that from Merle. I felt like he's
No, and
tough.
that's not the type of actor he is
Right.
really.
He's
That's
tough.
that's not the type of characters he plays in these movies really. So he's
Right.
much more of a lone wolf just fighting crime wherever it is, it seems like in any of these films. But from 1975 to 1980, I think he made 16 Eurocrime films.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and that really, unfortunately, in a way, was his career. He was so pigeonholed into this one sort of character type that he really didn't do much else. I mean, the only other thing he did make like the third White Fang sequel, and he did do a late period spaghetti western with Sergio Martino called A Man Called Blade, which is a really good movie. But he just his whole entire run was really in that amount of time. I think he wasn't really an actor around the time spaghetti western started for whatever reason. He started his acting career probably in the late 60s and just did minor parts until he went to, made Violent Rome. So this really was the only genre there was for him. I do wonder how maybe if Italian genre cinema had stayed more persistent in the 80s, if he had done other stuff or even more crime films, but it just kind of the interest in these type of films kind of dwindled in the early 80s, and that's when his career sort of went into decline and didn't really ever pick back up.
What a shame. And once again, what a shame he died so young, man. And anybody, 49, super young. Uh, so let's see here, Ian. What do you got on English dubs on this one?
I probably have a lot. Hold on a second, let me get to the page. Sorry, I know you
Take
might
five.
have to do some editing on this, but
As he's
got it.
getting to that too, I do want to mention once again, in this movie, fight sequences top notch, dude. As Ian's getting those together, man, I love the action, man. Freaking love it.
Okay, so Michael Forrest is dubbing Maurizio Merli as Commissioner Leonardo Tanzi. Maria Rosaria Armaggio, playing Anna, is dubbed by Carolyn DeFonseca. Giampero Albertini as Caputo is dubbed by Robert Spafford. Ed Mannix is dubbing Aldo Barbarito as Detective Poliani, sort of the other older detective that we see a few times in this film. Robert Summer is dubbing Luciano Catenacci. I can't. What's his character name? Savelli. Nope.
Uh,
For
Fernand,
Garachi.
yeah,
Yeah.
Garachi.
Um, and that's Frank von Kugelen is dubbing Tomas Milian as
Okay.
Vincenzo Moretto, which that basically Michael Forrest was the signature dubber for Merle, and von Kugelen was Milian's signature dubber. So you both get them in this film, and that's another example of why this film is what it is. Because every other movie you're expecting those two to do the dubbing after seeing this one.
Nice. Well, we haven't gone deep into Tomas Milan's character in this one, and it kind of flashes forward. You'll have him in a sequence, and then you might have the five people that are raping the girl. And then you might have this going on. Then Tomas comes on, and then you really find out Tomas is the villain, right? He is this is the villain of the movie. Eventually kicks in, and where you see him going. There's that one sequence where he's eating the dinner. He walks in at the sister's house or whatever, and there he
Yes, and he
is.
makes him eat the bullet. They,
Yeah.
it's funny. They did not get along from what I've heard by all accounts. So much so that in the sequel to this film, they're only in like one scene together because they apparently could not stand being around each other for whatever reason. And there's this the tension in that scene is realistic. Like they really did not like each other from what I've heard.
Yeah,
So
I love when he ends up shitting the bullet out, right? And he
yes,
ends up showing it to Tomas, like, here's the
yeah,
bullet. Like, and he knows what happened. He had to shit it out, Like, dude, I love that sequence, man. It's so much fun. But
I love the scene in the ambulance when he says to the he's like the guy in the back, the older guy whose wife is the woman dying in the ambulance. He's like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "I don't, well, me, I don't know where you're going." And he's, I know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going." But then he shoots him, and he's like, "To the cemetery. That's where you're going." That's a great sequence. And
oh my God.
yeah, Million, I think, thrives. And then you had that scene where he kills the guy he's trying to sell jewelry to.
Yeah.
He's like, make it more money and you can touch my hump. and he's like, it's good luck. Go on, touch it. He's like, I don't believe in superstitions. And then he shoots him. He's like, should have touched it.
I love
He's
it.
got some great moments in this.
He does, man. There is some really good ones in this one. So let's say we mentioned, we did mention the music, or did I mention I don't remember if I did say if I didn't, once again, music by Franco Michelizzi, if I did not mention that. Cinematography by Federico Zani, I know I did mention that. So, yeah. And this one being filmed in Italy, and as well, there is some sequences that I believe may have been filmed. Was some of this filmed? It was in Rome, Lazio, and Italy. Maybe it was high crime. I think Franco Nero had mentioned, or somebody had mentioned that there was a couple sequences. One of the maybe not the disco place. I think that was in high crime, but one of the locations was actually filmed in like New York. But just like one scene or something, or maybe it was this one. But anyways, Rome, Lazio, and Italy is the locations of this one. Great shots, man. Love the city streets and just getting gritty with this one, Ian. Uh, yeah. So what else you got on the tough ones?
Um, Nothing too much I can think of. I think I've said mostly everything. I mean, we got that bank robbery scene too,
Oh
where
yeah,
he ends up killing Savelli, where he goes through the air ducts. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, that's kind of the way he does that sequence too, where he just kind of crashes through. Very super Batmanish or definitely superhero esque. The way he just comes popping out of there, but it works. A lot of it works, man. I'm telling you. I think you've actually made me go up on my rating than what I was normally going to do.
cool.
Because I had this one. Um, I had this as a 4 star over a letterbox, but I think I'm going to bump it, man. I really think I'm going to bump it listening to you and talking some of this. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than I did. This is the first time viewing now. I can't wait to watch these again. Both of these, for sure. Now, both of these films were definitely influential when you get into the crime films, right? Poliziotteschi and that. I think definitely High Crime was definitely influential in a lot of movies for sure, as well as this one. So you got to give it to them for that. So anything else before we get to ratings?
Well, I can do the Hall of
Oh yeah,
Fame
the Hall of
stuff
Fame. I'm
as
sorry.
well.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So Maurizio Merli, I believe this is our second movie with him. So that makes him an all-star. We did Convoy Busters with him. Tomas Milian, this is actually only our second film so far with him.
That's why.
He's an all-star. Yeah, and Don't Torture a Duckling. We'll end up doing more Tomas Milian films for sure. We'll do that whole Lenzi Milian box set at some point. Got Giampero Albertini as Caputo, who's like the older cop. We saw him in Case of the Bloody Iris, so he's also an all-star. Ivan Rasimov. Let's see here. How many? One. All the Colors of the Dark. Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. Planet of the Vampires. Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. Spasmo. We never actually in depth covered Jungle Holocaust. We might end up doing that at some point. But Colt 38 Special Squad. So we got Ivan Rasimov, all time great Ivan Rasimov, definitely deserving of that.
Yes.
Biagio Pellegria. I don't know if we've seen him in another film yet. No, we have not. So he's just one film so far. Aldo Barbarito, we saw in Seven Bloodstained Orchids. So that makes him an all star. Stefano Patrizzi, we saw him in Murder Obsession, so that makes him an all-star as well. Luciano Pagozzi, Blood and Black Lace, All the Colors of the Dark, The Whip in the Body, Case of the Bloody Iris, Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye. So we got all-time great Luciano Pagozzi.
Yes.
Luciano Catenacci, Kill Baby Kill, Short Night of the Glass Dolls. And I believe that is it so far. So that makes him a superstar. Let's see here. More. Carlo Allegaro, Torso, Cat o' Nine Tails, Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward's Suspicious Death of a Minor, and this one. So that makes him a Hall of Famer.
Wow.
Claudio Nicastro, who plays the jeweler. We saw him in The Boss, and that is it. So that he's also an all-star. I want to see if there are any others. Corrado Solari, we just saw him in Duck You Sucker. Actually, he's the licenses and permits officer. I think I remember him in Duck You Sucker in a very small part. So he's also an all-star. Fulvio Mengozzi, I know we've seen him in Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Four Flies on Gray Velvet, Cat o' Nine Tails, Case of the Scorpion's Tail, Black Belly of the Tarantula, Eyeball, The Boss, Seven Bloodstained Orchids, The Big Racket. So that's a Hall of Famer. He's a background guy. He's in a ton of Argento's films. This movie is significant in that you get both Fulvio Mengozzi and Tom Pileggi in the same movie, like the two biggest background actors, both in the same film. Trying to see if I can find Tom Pileggi on here. Okay, there he is. So we got All the Colors of the Dark, Four Flies on Gray Velvet, Cat o' Nine Tails, Case of the Scorpion's Tail, Eyeball, Escape from the Bronx, Spasmo, Seven Bloodstained Orchids in this movie. So another Hall of Famer. He's been in a ton of stuff. Ottaviano Dell'Acqua, I did want to look at him real quick too, just to see. Demons, Escape from the Bronx 2018, After the Fall of New York, Blast Fighter, The Heroin Busters. So yet another Hall of Famer, which makes sense because he's been in a ton of stuff. He is known for playing the zombie with the worms in his eyes and Lucio Fulci's zombie.
Yes.
He's the guy who not Franco Nero, Maurizio Merli hits his head on the pool table a bunch of times. And that might be it actually. Sergio Testori, who plays the motorcycle thief. He was in The Boss 2018, After the Fall of New York, Hands of Steel. So we got another background Hall of Famer right there. So just a ton of people in this film.
Yeah, this is kind of that who's who of Italian cinema that you would definitely recognize. And I love that, man. I love seeing those nuggets when you get used to seeing people in. You've seen a ton of Italian cinema, so you've seen a lot more than I have. But seeing a character pop up, and I get that way every time I see Pagozzi.
Yeah, Pagozzi's definitely one of them. But like you just have a ton of them in this movie. This one is like a who's who of all of those background guys, basically.
I love it. All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and get to ratings, Ian. Where you come in on this one?
9.5 is
Okay.
where I'm going to give it.
I have actually, because I was at a 4-star, at an 8. I'm actually going to bump this one, and let's see, what did I give? I gave High Crime a 9, and I was at an 8. I really want to put this at a 9 and put it equal with it. Fuck it. I'm going 9. Both of these are 9s for me, and I can't wait to watch it again. I'm curious on what Sackett viewings will do for these. If they will make them go better, will they stay the same, or will they lose a little flavor? I don't know. I'll have to do that in the future and let you know what happens there. But I want to give a shout out once again to Dude McMahon 6936 for recommending this episode, Ian, because this was a lot of fun to look at.
For sure.
I do want to mention, and we're not finished quite yet because we got a voicemail to get to. So I want to go to this voicemail, and then we'll come back in. We'll talk about the next episode, all that good stuff. I know, Ian, you were a guest on an episode recently. We'll get into that as well. But let's go ahead and go to this voicemail here as I pull it up. And keep in mind, when there are voicemails, listeners, I don't know because I do not pre-screen these calls. So if there happens to be spoilers, I can't control that. Okay. So if you've not seen these movies and you don't want spoilers, you've been warned that maybe there might possibly be, may not be. Who knows? But let's go to this voicemail.
Hey guys, Luke Irza calling in with some thoughts on the tough ones. First off, the lead actor who plays Tanzi, I think he does a really good job being an upset, angry policeman over the system, at the beginning of the movie, because obviously some criminals get released and then continue to commit crimes. It sounds a little familiar, actually, in some of today's society, but enough about that. Let's get back to the movie. But also, towards the end, I find that he also does a good job working within the system, to try and bring these people to justice or whatever. So I like the actor, I guess is what I was getting at, and his versatility in playing both roles, I suppose. Very convincing, actor as a policeman. So, I mean, that was good. And then I already kind of spoke a little bit about, the idea that, some of these people the criminals were being released and committing other crimes. And that can be frustrating to, the lead actor and the rest of the police force as well in the movie. So I thought that was, and the villain in it also, I like the kind of give and take, between the villain and the lead character policeman. So, overall a great movie. Oh, and also, I also liked those cars, man. Those cars move. Like when they tear around town and things. I mean, those cars really get moving. As far as speed and things like that, it's actually pretty fun to watch some of the car chases and things like that. So I enjoyed that part of the movie as well. Have a good podcast, guys.
I love it. He's right. And I will say, we didn't mention this in either one of these. There is a ton of like crashes in these things, man. Like,
Yeah.
some cars getting beat up, bro. Like, insane. I love it. Love it. Great call, Luke. And anything you want to comment on those, Ian?
No, not really. Just great call, and glad he enjoyed the movie. We had talked about it on the phone a little bit earlier. So
Did he get a chance to watch High Crime? It sounded like he didn't.
no.
Okay. All right. So at least he got the tough one in. So with that said, now that is our part of those. Now we do want to mention the next episode, Ian. So let's go ahead and talk about the next episode, so we can go ahead and let the viewers and listeners here know what are we going to be covering on the next one.
So how much? I did one or two. How much of this do we want to cover? Do we just want to do Door into Darkness, or do we also want to do Night Shift as well?
We could do both if you like.
Okay, I mean it's long to do all of them. That's what I was wondering, but
We can do, hey, whatever you want to do. If you just want to do Door into Darkness, we'll roll with it.
I think we should just do Door into Darkness
Gotcha.
for now.
So we're looking at, if you have the Severin deep cuts, the Dario Argento set they released, what was that, last year, I believe it was, or this year. This has a ton of bonus features and stuff, but one of those is the Door into Darkness. So Dario Argento, I have the DVD version here. I bought this before they released this. And I was like, I want this. So I bought it. And then it was within a month or two, Ian, they announced this. And I'm like, what a bummer. But anyways, still sealed, Door into Darkness. But it is part of this set. So if you can still get this over at Severin, the deep cuts, which has a lot of bonus features.
Yeah, a ton of them.
Yeah, but Door into Darkness is what we're going to be covering. And what is it, like 4 episodes So it's 4 episodes of this TV thing called Door into Darkness, so, or a made-for-TV movie type, whatever scenario. So we'll get into that, so stay tuned for that. Look up, try to get it, watch along with us so you'll know exactly what's going on. Ian, what do you got as we wrap this up? I do want you to mention the episode you was on recently and other stuff as well.
Yes, so I was returning guest, very much privileged and thankful for the opportunity to be on Hello, This is the Doom Show once again with Richard, talking about Strike Commando 2.
Nice. I love Richard. I love Hello, It's the Doom Show. What a great podcast. You want to talk about Italian cinema? They've been doing it for a super long time.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff over there, man. Definitely check it out. And what episode was it, Ian, or should I have? I don't remember.
I can't remember the number.
Yeah, I don't remember right off my head either. But either way, go check out Hello, It's the Doom Show, and look up Ian Irza. I'll try in the show notes for the podcast. I'll put it. I can't really do it on, excuse me, on YouTube because YouTube won't allow me to do actual links, which I think sucks. But anyway, so I can find out right here. But anyways, what else you got in closing, and I'll get that exact episode number.
So you can find me at Twitter or X, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Urzanomics. You can add me on Facebook or Letterboxd by typing in my name.
Nice. Do that. The episode that was released, does he actually, I don't even know if he actually numbers his episodes, actually, now I'm looking at it. But either way, it's the newest episode. You can get them over where you get your podcasts and listen to it. It's Strike Commando 2 from 1988, and it's the newest episode. It's about an hour long, 55 minutes long. Listen to it. Hello, It's the Doom Show. I'm going to make this super easy for you. If you go to landofthecreeps.blogspot.com, you're going to look like this right here. Okay, landofthecreeps.blogspot.com. That is our podcast site where we put our episodes up, right? Now, over on the sidebar over here, you can go down to where it says friends or podcast friends, and there is a link over here for Hello, This is the Doom Show. Right over here, you click that, boom, and you'll be right where you need to be, or go to Spotify. Why I'm mentioning this, if you go to landofthecreeps.blogspot.com and you go to that toolbar on the right-hand side, there is a link that says Home and Land of the Creeps Store. Okay, click Land of the Creeps Store. Look at that. Look how it works. See that? And you're going to click it one more time in the middle, and guess what? You're into the Land of the Creeps Store, and they're having 40% sale anyways. So there's all this stuff that you can get that you can help support. Look at this. Look at this one right here, Ian. You can get this Black Glove Mystery Crime Duo shirt right here with Ian and I. Let me see if I can blow this up real good right here. Like, look at this image of Ian and I, man. We're chilling. We got the black, blade right here. So you got that shirt. You got this one right here. You may want to support Ian and his love of Italian cinema. Look at that one with Ian sitting over that hot chick right there, man. Look at that. Ain't that really cool? So there's a lot of these shirts you can get over there, and we would love it because it would help support the show. You also have this shirt right here. Let me click on it. So if you get this shirt too, blow it up. It looks familiar, right? So I'm going to show it to you. So you can get this shirt design. Boom, boom. How cool is that? All these shirts you can get over at our TeePublic site. Go on landofthecreeps.blogspot.com is the easiest way. Right side toolbar, click the store, click it again, boom, you're in. Buy you some LOTC swag, whether it's the Black Glove Mystery, maybe a Twisted Temptress, maybe you want a Dr. Shock shirt, don't misuse the Baylor, whatever. There's lots of stuff you can get, shirts and hats and just whatever in the world. You can get you one of these cool Land of the Creeps hats like I have or something. So you can get a lot of items. I'd love for that. It helps support the show. We don't make much on it, but what little bit we get, we put back into the podcast for the amount of money that we have to spend doing podcasting. So anyways, go ahead over there, Ian. With that said, I don't remember if I did mention this the last episode, but I was recently on 22 Shots of Moods, their Italian Horror Month, and I would love for you to go over and listen to that one as well. If you don't subscribe to 22 Shots of Moods, definitely do that. Their horror podcast. And I was on there and we talked Fulci movies. We looked at we did, as I'm looking at my Fulcis, we did Enigma we did Murder Rock, and we did, where is my other? So we did Murder Rock, Enigma, and we did one other one. It does slip my mind. Anyways, Manhattan Baby. I'm sorry, Manhattan Baby, Murder Rock, and Enigma. We reviewed those, so check out that podcast. Would love for you to support those guys. JP, Moods, Tyler, the whole crew do a great job. So that said, now, Ian, what else do you have coming up? Do you have anything else coming up podcast wise?
No, just this.
Okay, so hey, Ian, if he'll talk Italian with you anytime. We may drink some J&B a little bit later, Ian. We may just have to crack open this bottle and smoke us an Astor cigarette and see where
Yes.
I don't smoke anymore, thank God. But anyway, so we're going to get off here. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're listening to this on the podcast platform, stay tuned as you're going to have Mortis Vision with the Mortises, myself, my wife, the Twisted Temptress Pearl, and special guest Tammy McGuire. We're going to be looking at season 3 of Stranger Things. They have just released season 5, part of it. So we're in season 3 right now. So if you want to listen to that, stay tuned right after this on the podcast platform. On YouTube, you're done. So that said, we're going to get out of here, Ian. Love you, buddy. Appreciate you. And what do we like to say as we close out the show?
Get your jolly on.
And for you, Kyle Bishop, get your jolly on. Help keep horror alive and do that movie, one movie at a time, one review at a time. See you on the flip side. Peace.